In every high-tier social environment, the boardroom, the diplomatic gala, or the private equity dinner, there is an invisible phenomenon known as the pressure test. It is a moment of social filtration. A peer, a competitor, or a gatekeeper will eventually throw a disruption your way, not because they are necessarily aggressive, but because they are testing your social integrity. They want to see if your high-status persona is a practiced mask or a foundational reality. Most professionals, when faced with a pointed question or a subtle social slight, react with linguistic fragility. They stammer, their pitch rises, they speed up their delivery, and they over-explain. This signals that their social architecture is brittle and easily collapsed by external variables. I am Grace, and this is Trinity English Scholar. Today we are mastering the Disruption series. We are not just discussing what to say, we are deconstructing the mechanics of non-reaction. We are going to explore the how of maintaining your cadence under fire, the how of identifying the hidden intent behind an attack, and the how of redirecting social energy without leaking status. This is the Aikido of English. We will move away from defensive reactivity, the hallmark of the employee, and toward non-reactive authority, the hallmark of the leader. Before we deconstruct these high-pressure maneuvers, please subscribe to this channel. Mastering these micro skills requires consistent exposure to high-frequency communication. You cannot learn to be unshakable in a state of isolation. You must curate your intellectual environment. For those who seek to become truly unshakable in the global arena, Trinity English Scholar offers the deepest rhetorical training available. We provide 5 distinct streams of evolution, designed to turn every social challenge into a strategic advantage. If you are ready to master the art of the unbreakable frame, let us begin our autopsy of the pressure test.
To understand disruption, we must first understand the social frame. A frame is the psychological boundary of an interaction. Whoever sets the frame controls the meaning of the words spoken within it. When someone disrupts you, they are attempting to pull you out of your frame and into theirs. The first mechanic of the scholar is non-reactive authority. This is a physiological discipline. When we feel socially threatened, our fight or flight response triggers, our breathing becomes shallow, and our speech rate accelerates. To the observer, this looks like subservience. A Trinity scholar counteracts this by maintaining a fixed cadence. Even if the room collapses, your tempo remains rhythmic, deliberate, and calm. This signals that your internal state is independent of external pressure. The second mechanic is rhetorical reframing. In the linguistic lab, we study the presupposition, the hidden assumption tucked inside a question. If someone asks, "Why is your team failing to meet the target?" the presupposition is that the team is failing. If you answer the question, you have accepted their frame. Instead, the scholar analyzes the foundational premise. We use words like parametric, inconsistency, and metric. We don't defend the failure, we challenge the definition of the target. By the end of this session, you will view social pressure not as a threat to be feared, but as a data-gathering exercise. You will learn to hold the silence, to elongate your vowels under pressure, and to use the pivot to turn an interrogation into a consultation. This is how the quiet authority is built, not through volume, but through the unshakable nature of your linguistic architecture.
To master these mechanics, we must witness them in a vacuum. We will now walk through 3 specific scenarios where the frame is challenged. I want you to pay close attention to the vocal tempo and the lexical choice in each walkthrough. Walkthrough 1. Handling the status check. Imagine you are explaining a complex strategy to a new group of stakeholders. Suddenly, a senior member interrupts with a condescending tone. "That sounds a bit academic, don't you think? Have you actually done this in the real world, or is this just theory?" The non-Trinity scholar feels an immediate need to plug the leak in their status. In this walkthrough, we observe the student leaning forward, their voice becoming slightly higher in pitch. They say, "Yes, actually, I have 10 years of experience, and I worked at X and Y, so I know what I'm talking about. I've done this many times." The analysis: by listing your resume, you have accepted their premise that you are guilty of being inexperienced until proven otherwise. You have given the interrupter the power to be the judge of your life. You look defensive, and defense is a low-status position. The Trinity scholar uses analytical indifference. In this walkthrough, notice the scholar does not lean in. They remain grounded. They wait for one full silence, a power pause, and then respond at exactly the same speed they were using before. They say, "The distinction between academic theory and operational reality is often a matter of scale. My focus here is on the underlying mechanics that drive success in both environments." The analysis: they didn't mention their resume because they don't need to. They used distinction and operational reality. They treated the insult as an interesting intellectual topic rather than a personal attack. They have stayed in the strategic zone, forcing the interrupter to either drop the hostility or look unsophisticated. Walkthrough 2: the sudden topic pivot. Imagine you are in a deep, high-value discussion about a potential partnership. Without warning, the other person shifts to a controversial news story or a personal question to catch you off guard. "I saw that your competitor just got fined for ethics violations. What do you think about their leadership?" The non-Trinity scholar gets hooked by the emotional bait. In this walkthrough, we see the students' eyes move rapidly as they try to formulate a safe opinion. They say, "Oh, I didn't see that news, but I think it's very bad for the industry and it's sad. What do you think?" The analysis: you have lost control. You are now being led into a gossip frame. You have abandoned your strategic objective to follow their whim. This signals that you are easily distracted and lack a sovereign agenda. The Trinity scholar uses the structural bridge. In this walkthrough, the scholar acknowledges the shift with a slight, polite nod, but immediately bridges it back to the value zone. They say, "That's an intriguing tangent, certainly. It reflects the broader volatility we're seeing in the global landscape, which is precisely why our current collaboration requires such stringent focus." The analysis: they didn't mention their resume because they don't need to. They used distinction and volatility. They labeled the interruption as secondary or outside the circle of importance. They have stayed on path while being perfectly polite. They have signaled that their time is too valuable to be spent on industry noise. Walkthrough 3: responding to the backhanded compliment. Consider a subtle social test. Someone says to you, "You speak English so well for someone who wasn't educated in the West." The non-Trinity scholar reacts with subservient gratitude. In this walkthrough, the student smiles too broadly, their body language shrinks, and they say, "Oh, thank you so much. I've been studying for a long time, and I try very hard to sound natural." The analysis: this is a disaster for your status. You have accepted their backhanded compliment and validated their low expectation of you. You have thanked them for their mercy. You have identified as a student rather than a leader. The Trinity scholar uses status acceptance. In this walkthrough, the scholar looks the person in the eye with a neutral, almost bored expression. They say, "I've always found that linguistic precision is a fundamental requirement for global leadership, regardless of one's geographic origin."
They didn't say thank you because a leader expects to speak well. They used linguistic precision and fundamental requirement. They moved the focus from their country to global standards. They didn't accept the smallness of the compliment. They expanded it into a standard of excellence that they already meet.
Takeaways: the disruption protocol. As we prepare to leave this space, let us distill the 4 pillars of the disruption protocol. 1. Maintain your fixed cadence. Your speed is your shield. If you feel pressure, slow down, never speed up. 2. Challenge the premise, not the fact. Use words like foundational, presupposition, and parametric to analyze the logic of an attack rather than defending yourself. 3. Bridge back to value. Treat every tangent or distraction as external noise that must be filtered back into your strategic objective. And 4. Accept status, don't seek it. Never thank someone for a backhanded compliment. Reframe your skills as standard requirements for your position. Homework. Your mission this week is to become unshakable in the field. The cadence test. In your next meeting, if someone interrupts you or asks a difficult question, wait 2 full seconds of silence. Count them. Then continue speaking at exactly the same speed. The premise pivot. In the comments below, I want you to practice. If someone asked you, why should we listen to you over someone with more experience? Write a 2-sentence response using the words foundational, trajectory, and alignment. I am Grace. At Trinity English Scholar, we don't just teach you to speak, we teach you to be unshakable. I will see you in our next program.